All right, let's get right to it. I'm exhausted. I've been working my ass off all week, and today I'm less exhausted than I was yesterday, so it's a good day to make an update. And I guess we'll start with, nothing really too important has happened so far. I already kind of gave my plans. I'm still in this short trade, and I gave my support levels. I pointed out the areas in which, if we started to see bullish things around that area, around any of these areas, then I may start to change my overall bias, which so far has been short since we took out the high of the range with bearish signs all over the place and then dumped back down in the range, losing key levels. And we have worked our way down to one of the most important support levels, the value area low, which had confluence around it. And so let me ask, do you think we have seen bullish things around this area that we got to move down to? I think we have. I think we have seen some bullish things, but I'm still in my short. I don't think I've seen something convincing enough for me to close out my short quite yet. But, we have seen, number one, a range around this area. I mean, it's a pretty large range. It kind of covers two of my support boxes, even goes a little bit lower. But we have been ranging in that area, and we have been SFPing lows. We SFP'd the low of the range multiple times. Here's one, here's two, and I believe both of those times were divergences. So the second SFP was kind of right in the middle of that momentum wave right there. It was 1 over. So technically a div from there to there, and then another div as we got the second SFP, wherever that was. I'll guess it was right about here. But those SFPs and those, slight bull divs, which on the 4-hour, it is a significant time frame. This is pretty significant. However, we have not seen money flow divergence, so that was making me a bit skeptical. The fact that money flow put in its lowest low at the point that we got that last low. But at the very least, these were certainly reasons for me to take some more profits out of my short. I have, locked in a couple percent on this. But given the overall context of this trade, the higher time frame context, I have chosen to keep a decent amount of it open for the situation where this little range, this bullish range that we're forming fails and we end up breaking significantly lower. Yeah, I mean, at this point, we have seen some bull divs. We have gotten a move back up to the range. And really, at this point, the thing that's going to make me close my short is us breaking this range bullishly, which does unfortunately mean that I will be closing my short very close to entry. If that happens, or, ideally I get to close it a lot lower, or at the very least, I, can close my short out and then I get some kind of long from it to make up for it. So that's kind of where I'm at. There's not too much to really go over in terms of the higher time frame stuff. I guess, we can take a look at some of the higher time frames on Market Cipher. Right here, the VWAP is trying to curve back to the upside, possibly trying to print a very tight trigger wave here. If this VWAP crosses up, this momentum wave will print a green dot and will probably start turning to the upside. Maybe it ends up actually being a significant trigger wave, maybe it doesn't. But at this point, it does seem like the daily time frame is trying to turn back to the upside. Money flow is even putting in a higher high locally. And I did not think there would be much to go over on the weekly, but in a few days here, today is Friday, that may change, so I'm interested to see how the weekly develops as we head into a new week. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I think this range that we are currently trading in is the most important price action, because, whichever way we break, there's a good chance that we could see some follow through. Now, granted, we could just kind of continue SFPing this range higher and higher until we hit the point of control and then start working our way back down, and maybe it ends up breaking bearish. So I want to see, a significant break, not just kind of like multiple failed attempts at breaking out of it and then running into resistance. So the last thing I think I'm going to do here is I am going to take a look at this lower time frame range. Let's see if there's any juicy looking trade ideas to possibly come up with. And since I really only kept this box for my video, and we have clearly lost it, this box is not really relevant anymore, we can delete that. This box, I mean, we moved lower from it, but for the most part, we really only SFP'd it. Like, this was originally an SFP. The only 4-hour candle to close below the box was actually an SFP of the first SFP right here. So we closed below the box, but not below the first wick that took it out. I'm basically looking at this as we've really only SFP'd the value area low on the 4-hour time frame, and going to the daily, it is only wicks. There's not been a close below the value area low. It actually looks like we're, really trying to hold that support on this daily time frame. So I'm not going to delete this box, but I am going to hide it to get it out of my way. And let's go to a lower time frame. So, taking a look at the 1 hour, one thing I do want to point out on the lower time frames is we do have much better looking divs, momentum, and money flow putting in higher lows as we got that last lower low, which was only an SFP. That is nice. That is a good looking sign for this low, honestly. But that's not really going to confirm this as a super strong low for me until we can break the range that we're currently trading in. One thing that we have done is we have technically broken some kind of downtrend here because we had, a low, a significant retracement, technically a lower low, although it's just an SFP, it's still a lower low, making this a technical lower high for another SFP, and then we broke structure. And I would say that since breaking structure, we have not gotten a pullback that would really warrant a continuation of the structure yet. Really, since this point where we broke over, I delete this line. It has been straight up. There have been down moves, but they were on the lower time frames. It's only a wick on the 2 hour. So yeah, I would say that the current structure does allow for us to get a retracement from this SFP of the range high and possibly put in a higher low. Maybe just to come back up and SFP the high again, maybe we end up breaking higher. Oh, and these have been some scalp trades that I took during the week. Nothing really to write home about. This was a good short right here. This long, I locked in profits at like a 1-to-1, I think, because this was late at night. This was around midnight, and I had to get up in the morning so I just took my profits early, put my stop loss entry, went to bed, and that was the right decision because that was a pretty crappy trade. This was a crappy trade because I shorted the bottom. I tried to follow the trend down, and sometimes that backfires. We did not come for this low at that point. We came for it later, but yeah, of course, we had to stop me out before doing that. So yeah, not too much to write home about with my trading within this range. I can hide those positions. And let's maybe come up with some long ideas because, we do have bullish sign number 1 with the SFPs, bullish sign number 2 with the divergences that look even better on like the 1 hour and down. I think on the 2 hour money flow continued lower. It put in its lowest point right here, so not really any divergences there. But they do look better on the lower time frames. We have now gotten a significant move back above the value area low. We've tried to test the range high, which it was only an SFP so far, but still, it was a pretty bullish move to get up here. We did break structure to get up there. So I am interested in planning out some potential long ideas. And if we're going off a confluence, one area that catches my eye is this zone down here, right around the value area low, maybe even a bit lower because the more local value area low is right below the macro value area low, and maybe you even want to pull it down to the 786. Just say, all right, in between the golden pocket, 786 is some nice confluence that I'm interested in. So that's an area that, if we get a pullback into there, and if we see something bullish, like some kind of low time frame divergences, a range forming there, SFPs, break a structure, whatever it may be, then I may consider a range trade in that zone. Now, because we have not broken the range, I'm not going to target anything above the range until we break it. So this range high will be my ultimate target for any trades. Ultimate being like, all right, at that point, I consider the trade done. And if I still have some left open and it continues to run after that, that's a bonus for me. But yeah, I'm going to be planning like local trade setups that maybe I'll be able to hold some of them for higher prices. But what about prior to that area? Is there anything that, may come sooner than that zone? There is the value area high. We could always just backtest the value area high before moving higher. We can see if there's any confluence around there. One thing I want to do is I want to take the volume of this up move. So from that last swing low to the swing high. And look at that, there is some confluence. There is the uptrend point of control right at basically the value area high of this local range. So, all right, there's some confluence there. Is there anything else? Maybe an anchored VWAP? No, not quite. That one's pretty far down there, but what about from this low? Okay, not quite either. What about from this low? All right, last thing I'm going to try, let's take an anchored VWAP from this wick low, because this was a significant down move. This did take out some local liquidity, and then we got a very aggressive move up to the range high following that, so let's check that. And all right, at this point, it is sitting right in that area. Will it be there by the time we get down there? I don't know. We could like kind of take forever to get there. Maybe we mess around up here for a bit and then come down to this area. And at that point, the anchor VWAP's like already up here or something. For right now, I'm going to say, all right, let's take a box and kind of put it around this zone. Maybe take it down to the 382 because we certainly can wick lower than the value rate high point of control, kind of wick into that zone, reclaim it. If there's bullish signs on a lower time frame there, that would possibly be a nice trade entry for me. Now, I do have to point out that the one thing making me a little skeptical about looking for, long trades if we start getting a retrace is that there is a reason to move to the downside, at least as it stands right now, because we have an SFP of the range high that can cause a range rotation almost all the way down or sometimes all the way back down to the low. And there is a reason in terms of liquidity to come back to that low because we have a bunch of higher lows leading up to it. This did take out a good amount of liquidity. This took out liquidity from this low, and from this low. So this wick may be the reason that we don't see a move like all the way back down to the range low. Maybe we don't even come into this box of confluence because we already grabbed liquidity in that area. But, there are still some higher lows leading up to it, and you can just kind of count this one as another higher low. And on a lower time frame, there's kind of like lower time frame, higher lows leading to that area as well. And sometimes when you have reason to continue lower, you may like get a bounce from some of these significant areas just for it to kind of fail pretty quickly and continue lower. So that is something that I'm always cautious about. But who knows? Maybe we try and break the range right now. We are getting another move back up towards that range high as we speak. So, I mean, if we start breaking this range prior to retracing, I think I would like the long ideas a bit more. They would change, at least the fib levels would change. Say we get a move up to here, then, the confluence is looking a little different. Maybe then I'd pull this box up to wherever the 382 is. Maybe I'd adjust this lower box in that case. But, I mean, yeah, for right now, these are the areas of interest. I'm not going to really go into short ideas at the moment because it does look like either we're gonna kind of reverse and see some bullish price action for a little bit, or maybe this range high SFP just kind of ends up being a lower high. Maybe we range for a bit more, maybe SFP once more, continue lower. So unless it's like a local trade idea, then I'm not really looking at shorts. And I mean, at this point, the only short I can think of within this range is what we just did, which is SFP the range high or SFP it again. Because there's nothing above us within this range because we're at the high of the range. And maybe something comes of this range high SFP. Like I said, maybe it ends up being the lower high. That would be nice for my short trade, which I'm in from right here. But yeah, that does it for this video. Not too much to go over, really at this point I'm focused on the lower time frame trading, the range trading, because I think that is what is important at the moment. And maybe that changes. Maybe we break this range significantly, and then I'm maybe considering these longs a bit more. Alright, thank you everybody for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing, leaving a like, commenting. All that helps to support my channel, and I appreciate it a ton, and I'll see you all in the next one.